We have a multi-day severe weather event that's taking place today, but will continue through the end of the week and possibly into the weekend. I'll break down what's going on and how likely it could be to see some potentially significant tornadoes in this early season outbreak. I'll break it down exclusively on TPF Cyclone. It is Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. What you're looking at right now is a CAPE index. As of right now, what CAPE is energy in the atmosphere, energy in the atmosphere for thunderstorms to develop and become significant storms. So as of right now, 2000 CAPE, 22K, CAPE, 22 up to 24K near Wichita Falls. That is decent thunderstorm development energy. It's not the most I've ever seen, but it is enough to create some pretty severe storms that can lead to damaging wind. Not really tornadoes, but there is another thing that I will show you in a second that can that is a better thing to check rotation. But for now, the CAPE, as you can see, other than like around Wichita Falls and maybe into Oklahoma City, it is very mid all around Texas to Louisiana and into southeast Oklahoma. If we look at the wind shear, this can help with hail development. It's mainly to the north of all of this going on right now, so hail isn't much of a concern right now. Maybe as we get closer to Oklahoma City, it is more of a concern. But the thing to see rotation in the atmosphere, it is mostly north of Oklahoma City, and that's about the boundary for where this happens. There's maybe some light rotation, but if we actually look at the Storm Prediction Center for today, by the way, if you were with me last year and I showed you this website, it may have looked different than this. They actually just had an update today. It was announced in January, and it was just updated today. And it helps a lot getting the word out there about tornadoes. So as you can see, tornadoes, there's no threat today. I can't zoom in on this, but what's going on? The new thing is it's the same 2 to 60%. Last year we saw 30%. But previously there was only one significant risk, and that's the one hatched. But what they added is a second hatch, which is solid lines straight across. And then they also added a third hatch, which is extreme, and that's solid lines straight across, like crossing each other like this, as you can see over here. So say a tornado is 15% and then a 3. That's a pretty significant outbreak. 10% 2, something to watch out for. 45% 1, still pretty significant. And then the worst case scenario would be 60 and then 3. And then also we could see 30 and 3. That's probably the most realistic of the highest we could see. I've never seen a 60 before. But yeah, today is actually mostly a hail threat. I'm sure there would be some decent wind. But yeah, as you can see, there is that 1 out of... for hail, it's only 1 to 2. Same with wind, I think. Actually, no, wind goes to 3. And wind, what they also added to it is 90% wind, so 90%, and then the 3, that would be derecho, so you don't ever want to see that. The hail today, it's only a 5%, but still you can see some inch hail, stuff like that. So it's still something to watch out for, and I think it may just be starting today. I'm not sure. I'll show you the radar in just a sec. I'm mainly concerned about these next 2 days. That's why I haven't really seen, I don't know where the radar is. Hold on, I might need to open that up in a bit. But tomorrow's tornado threat is, you see a 2%, but it's not hatched, no hatches whatsoever. So that's at least a positive, but there's still a tornado threat to watch for. Again, this is tomorrow. The wind threat, it goes up to 15%, but there's no hatches to it. And then the hail threat, also 15%, no hatches to that as well. The day 3 outlook, this may be upgraded to a level 3 out of 5. We'll see what ends up happening. but the probabilistic, it doesn't go tornado, wind, and then hail. It's just a combination of all the threats if you add them all together. As of right now, it's 15%. I'm not sure if it's exactly adding them all together, but it's something like that. But there is a 1 hatch. This goes up to 2. So I will be watching this closely. But I'm mainly concerned about Friday. It looks like we could see a pretty severe event taking place on Friday. Oklahoma City, and then let me turn on the cities. Oklahoma City through Kansas City, Norman, Oklahoma, and then those aren't really the main places, but then really the Iowa, Missouri border all the way down to the Oklahoma-Texas border, and then stretching pretty much from Wichita to almost Little Rock, not quite making it there, but this is even this far out. You don't usually see 30% this far out, and it doesn't do the same as days 1, 2, and 3 do, but it is still pretty significant, and there isn't hatches to it or anything, but we'll see what it's like tomorrow. It could be a 3 out of 5, maybe even a 4, hopefully not, but we'll see what actually ends up happening. So I'll be monitoring this severe storm threat closely. I do want to show you the Atlantic, what it's looking like in terms of water temperatures. Here it is. Let me get it ready for you. So the Gulf is starting to warm up. It usually warms up around this time, and then it's about 80-ish, high 70s in the southern Gulf, and then as we get to the northern Gulf, it's still mid to high 60s. And then the Caribbean, it's decent. It's not super warm, but it's enough for cyclone development as we get closer to Jamaica, 82 degrees, Haiti also 82. And then as we go all the way far out in time, I like to show this because, as we can get further out and closer to the hurricane season, I like to see what's going on. Southern Caribbean, pretty warm, 82 to 84. And then the Caribbean is really going to start to warm up over the next week. We'll continue into hurricane season. Haiti gets near 84, so I will be watching that and then seeing how warm the Caribbean gets by like May. That will give us a good idea on whether or not, if we see a May system in the Caribbean, how strong it might be able to get. And then the Gulf will remain rather unchanged in the northern Gulf, maybe actually going to the low 70s, but rather unchanged in the southern Gulf, possibly going to the low 80s. So I'll be monitoring all of this closely. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and see ya.